Sit on a block. You can sit any way that feels comfortable. And we will start with some grounding and centering. So find a comfortable position where you can really feel your sits bones connected to whatever is beneath you, whether that's a chair or a blanket or a block. And maybe even wiggle a little bit from side to side and really feel, maybe move the flesh out of the way until you can contact the more bony processes at the bottom of your hips, called your sits bones. And if you want to close your eyes, you are welcome to do that. And just start to let your awareness settle into your lower body. And then noticing how your spine feels, if it feels like it's a little bit curved forward or curved back. Allow the spine to rise up from the pelvis and bring attention to your head as it sits on top of your spine. And then noticing your breath and how your breath affects the movement of your spine. Perhaps you may notice a little undulation of the spine as it moves with the inhale and exhale of your breath. And then just noticing how you feel today on an emotional level, just checking in with your heart, noticing if there are any predominant emotions that are present for you, just making a note of them, not needing to change anything at all, just noticing. We'll start with the self-hug. So you can bring whatever hand of your choice. I'm going to bring my right hand under the armpit of my left arm and then cross my left arm over my right. So I'm just holding on to the, you can hold on to the top of your shoulder if that's an easier way to just drape your arms across, or you can hold on to the back of the arm on that right side, or vice versa. So one hand is tucked under an armpit, the other hand is draped over the shoulder or holding onto the arm, and just feeling, letting the weight of the arms hang over the chest and feeling that self-hug, and beginning to breathe a little deeper through the nose, inhaling. You'll notice that the weight of your arms in a way holds the chest down, so the breath may enter a little more into the lower part of your lungs, stretching the lower ribs and belly. You can exhale through the mouth as if you're blowing through a straw. Filling up gently through the nose and exhaling through the mouth. And you can hold this self-hug for as long as you want, or you can let your hands rest somewhere on your body that feels even more comfortable. As I read this poem, this is a interpretive translation of Ahavat Olam, and it's by Rabbi Rami Shapiro. It's actually a song, I believe these are the lyrics. We are loved by an unending love. We are blessed. We are loved. We are loved by an unending love. We are blessed. We are loved. We are held by arms that find us even when we're hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we're too proud to be soothed. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we're too bitter to hear. We are helped by hands that uplift us even when in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us, even when we're too weak to meet. We are held, we are touched, we are soothed and uplifted. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smile. Blessed are you, beloved one, who loves your people of the world. Letting your hands rest on your lap if they aren't already there. Just taking in the words of this interpretation of this prayer. That we are the hands, the eyes, the work, the hearts that love the world. And even as we are loving, we are being loved. We are being held. We're going to do a little bit of movement just from the seated position, just a little bit of checking in with the neck. I know we haven't practiced in a bit together, so just turning the head from side to side, just noticing your range of motion without moving the shoulders side to side, and then bring your head back to the center and then just tuck your chin. Notice if it comes to the chest or if it falls short of that, and then looking up and back down and back up. Good, back to center. And then just tilting one ear to one shoulder and softly back through center, go to the other side. Notice, is there one side that has a little more range than the other? Good, and back to center. And then just some shoulder circles, big ones up, back and down. And then reverse. Really just a way of checking in. And then let's do a little side bend so the right hand can come to the floor or your mat and the left arm can come up, and just a side bend, and connecting again as we did in the beginning of class to those sits bones. So feeling the left sits bone rooting down into whatever you're sitting on, and then just reaching with the fingers of the left hand and breathe into it. Big deep breath, really inflate the ribs. Good, and change sides. Let all that air out. Inhale, reach the other arm up. And exhale all the way over. Pull the belly in. Take another breath here. And release. Good. Let's come onto our hands and our knees. And remembering that you can, if your wrists get tired, you can always come onto fingertips or knuckles and bring your wrists under the shoulders, knees directly under the hips, and just move through your cat-cow and notice how that feels today. Perhaps exhaling as you round the spine and tuck your tailbone, drop your chin, really spreading the shoulder blades apart. And then inhaling, dropping belly button, lifting the sits bones, bringing the gaze up, stretching out that diaphragm, the front of the rib cage, and on your own, just moving through a few of these as slow as you'd like, just matching the pace of your breath with the movement. And letting any spontaneous movements emerge if you want to shift around with the hips or make circles, whatever feels good. Just saying good morning to the spine. Let the head and neck go. And then we'll take puppy pose from here. So go ahead and walk your hands out in front of you, maybe a foot or so. You're going to keep your buns in the air and lower the head and the chest toward the floor. And really keep those arms straight. You might even kind of crawl the fingertips forward a bit so those arms are straight, and the elbows might even lift off of the mat. Keep reaching your sits bones up toward the sky, getting a nice deep stretch in the underarm area, taking a deep breath in here, stretching the front of the ribs and exhaling. Let's do a couple more. Deep breath in, letting it out. On the last inhale, if it feels okay for you to do, you can hold the breath for a couple of seconds, breathing in, a little bit of retaining of the breath, and then exhale. Now go ahead and bring your hips toward your heels, so you've still got your head down. You're in a child's pose here. Walk your hands over to the left and get a nice deep stretch in the right side body. Take a big breath in here. So now just focusing on the back of the rib cage on that right side. So we're just getting the ribs on from all different angles, creating more space so that you can get more and more oxygen into those lungs. And then walk your hands over to the right. Full deep breath here. Walk your hands back to center, and then I'm going to shimmy my knees apart a little bit. Feel free to stay with your knees together or wide, whatever works for you. And then I'm going to walk my fingertips forward, and then bend the elbows, turn the palms up to the sky, and bend the elbows like you're going to pat yourself on your own back and get a tricep stretch here. And then you can increase the stretch by walking your elbows forward just a little bit, and then starting to imagine you're bringing your hips towards your heels even more. It's like pressing down into those elbows like you're trying to pull them back. You're just giving a little stretch using the friction of the mat to your triceps. And breathe. Good. And then relax. Go ahead and come on up. Shake it out. Shake out anything that you need to. And we're going to come onto our back. So for your back, we'll want the strap and a block. So I'm going to walk you through this stretch, but if it's helpful for you to observe first, feel free to do that. We've done it in class before, but sometimes it's a little complicated to explain. So I'm on my back with my knees bent, and I'm going to bring my hands, my palms together in prayer position, basically at my heart, well, close to my heart, my face really. And then I'm going to bring my elbows together too. So those forearms and elbows are touching. So yeah, the palms are going to be in different places depending on all sorts of factors, right? So you want to bring palms and forearms together. Think of gluing the elbows together. And then keeping all that glued together, you're going to start to bring your arms overhead as far as you can. When those elbows start to open on their own because you can't hold them together anymore, or until when your fingertips hit the floor behind you, you're going to let the elbows open up, and then you're going to slide the elbows back down towards your rib cage, and then bring those palms and forearms together again. You're going to squeeze, squeeze, squeeze as you lift, reaching over your head, and then release, open up, and drag those arms down. This is really nourishing for the shoulder girdle. Just do what you can. Keep breathing. Let's do one more. On that last one, you can let your arms rest by your sides and take a breath here. Your knees are bent. We're going to use our block between the inner thighs, the thinnest setting. So we want the skinny setting right between the thighs, and then walk your feet toward your butt so that your ankles are under your knees. We're going to squeeze the block. So sometimes what I see in class, the knees are squeezing together, but the ankles are still kind of out toward the edges of the mat. I want you to walk your feet in close to each other so that they're no wider than that, what you sense that block is between your thighs. And then you'll start to squeeze the block and lift your hips off of the floor, squeezing your gluteal muscles, squeezing the block in between the thighs. You can flip your palms so that they're face up so that you've got an external rotation in the shoulder. And breathe here, opening up the whole front of the body, and then lower down. Inhale at the bottom, and then on your exhale, press into your feet, lift your hips, squeeze the block. Take a breath at the top in your bridge. Good, lowering down. Now, this is an option. You can have a dynamic bridge. As you lift up your hips, you can also lift your arms overhead. Take a nice big breath in, really fully opening the front of the body, and then exhale, let everything float back down. And then inhale, reaching all the way up, lifting the hips, squeeze the block, and then exhale, lowering down. Let's do one more. You can hold it at the top this time. Inhale, reaching up, squeeze the block. You're going to pause here, take a couple breaths, really feel the back of your body getting nice and activated. And then start to lower everything down. You can bring your arms back down, remove the block, give your knees a squeeze. Just hug them in toward the chest and rock from side to side. Good. So we fired up the back of the body, and now we're going to wake up the core a little bit more. So to do that, we're going to do some toe touches. So if you bring your shins up as if you had your legs draped over a couch or a chair seat, and your lower body here is in right angles, your knees are over your hips, and then your lower legs are shooting straight out. I want you to hold on to the tips of your frontal hip bones, and then just inside of those hip bones, you're going to feel your abdominal muscles there. And then just take let's start with the left toes. I want you to keep that right angle with the leg and just reach out, touch the floor with your left toes. What's very common is people just bend their knee more to reach down and touch the floor. That won't get into your core. So you want to keep the right angle as if it just moves all as one unit, and reach down, touch the floor, come back up. If this bothers your lower back, don't go all the way to the floor. And just alternate on your exhale, reaching out, touching the floor or mat, and you'll feel your abdominals engaging under your fingertips. So suck your belly button in really close. Imagine you could bring your belly button in to touch your spine and then in the mat too. Alternating. If this isn't challenging enough for you, you can progress this exercise by using your heel, same movement, but you use your heel to reach down and touch the mat. Good. And one more set. It really helps to exhale as you extend that leg out. Good. Nice and slow. Go slower than you think you should. And then hug your knees in. Hug and squeeze. So with abdominal work, it doesn't matter how fast you go. It matters how controlled and mindful you are, so you're activating the proper muscles. The next thing we're going to do, this is our last core exercise. We're going to come back to the same starting position. Pull your belly in. These are like, I call them donkey kicks. So you're going to flex your feet and just start to kick your legs out in front of you. Your legs will straighten just a little bit, not all the way, just enough to feel your core turn on. Then bring the knees back right over the hips, not in towards your chest yet, unless you need to. And then kick your legs out to whatever feels like an activation for you and back in. Go really slow here. Go really slow. Last one. Now you're probably in your hip flexors here too. I can feel mine a little bit firing up. So we're gonna bring the knees into the chest now. You're holding each knee and you're gonna open the legs, open the knees, and then make a big circle. And squeeze the knees, open the knees away from each other, and use your hands to help make your hips do a little circle. You can go both directions, whatever feels good to release your back. Let's even take a little twist. You can twist from side to side. Anything you need to do to release any tension in your back. Good. We're going to turn onto our sides, press up. We're going to come to standing and use our massage ball for this next piece. It's probably been a while since we've done any foot massage, so let's start with that. Bring the ball under your right foot and do a little ironing out. For any of you that popped on after class started, just a reminder that we will not have class next Tuesday, and we will have class the following Tuesday. So just check the temple calendar. It's up to date. So if you ever aren't sure, just check the calendar and it will be there up to date. So finding any sore spots, going from side to side, pausing where you need to take a few extra breaths. Good, go over to the other side, to the left foot or the other foot. Remember to keep your breath flowing, bringing oxygen to those areas that may have been really tight before. Good. Okay, go ahead and move your ball off to the side. And then just tuck your right toes underneath you and press gently down on the top of your foot. Stretch the top of the foot and the shin, and then bring your weight to the ball of your foot and just do some circles here. So your ankle gets some movement, even the knee and the hip. Change directions. Good. Let's change sides. Stretch the top of the foot on the left side. And then bring the ball of the foot to the mat and do some circles. Both directions. Good. So we're going to do some dynamic balance warm-ups, which we've done before. So you're going to stand with your feet about hip width apart. You can have your hands on your hips or use them out to the side for more balance support. And we'll just start to bring the right leg out in front. And I want you to think of it as a heavy leg with like a pendulum hanging at the bottom, and just start to swing the leg forward and back. And feel your left leg and ankle really working to make this possible. And then pause with your leg in front and just start to move it from side to side. And you can use your arms to counterbalance any way that you'd like to. Good. Very nice. And then change sides. Just swinging that leg forward and back. Look at your standing foot and notice if it's off to the side or pigeon-toed at all, and just see if you can get those toes to point straight forward. Good, and then pause in the front and just go right to left, right to left. Trying to keep your balance. No shame in if you need to tap down or take a break, please do so. And come back to center, go ahead and shake it out. So now we'll do much slower balancing, which is more challenging. So we're gonna bring our weight to the left side, toes are faced forward, really squeeze the leg. And then hands on the hips or out in a T. You're gonna reach the right foot forward, toes can be pointed. And then slowly draw a half circle around you. Keep your belly pulled in. You'll get to this place where your leg's going to be behind you and your back's going to want to arch. We don't want to arch the back. As soon as that starts to happen, you're going to bend the knee, bring it out in front of you again, point the toe, draw your half circle. I like to bring my hand to my lower back just so I can keep just really aware that the pelvis is remaining stable. And when you do this properly, you're going to feel your glute and your hamstring really warming up. It helps to not look at something that's not moving. And of course, if you ever need to use a wall or something stable to hold on to support you as you progress in your balancing exercises, please feel free to do that. Good. Let's relax that side, shake it out. Right leg is standing, toes are pointed forward. Lift your left knee, point the toes, start to draw your circle around you. Keep breathing. Notice if this side feels easier or more challenging than the other side. Let's do one more half circle here. Good, and then go ahead and shake it out. Just shake like Jello. Just even if you want to tap on your hips or make soft fists, some tapping, shaking. Good. Legs are wider than hip width, and we're just going to do some twists. Let those arms flop. Gaze over your shoulder as you twist. Release any tension in the shoulders. Just let the breath help you to release or exhale anything that's just kind of been crowding your space, your mental space. Clear some space for yourself. Good. Come on back to center. Bring your feet underneath you. And we'll warm up our chi, our kidneys, rubbing the hands together. And bring them to your lower back, right over those hip bones, right where your kidneys live. And just do a little massage, bouncing Very nice. And then shake out your arms. We'll bring in our breath of joy. So I'm going to open my stance just a little bit wider so that I can let my arms go between my legs. So we're taking inhale, exhale. So breathing in, and then exhale. Arms up, out, up, and down. Take it at whatever pace feels good for you. Let's do 2 more. Good. You can stand in mountain pose, just noticing any shift in your energy. We are going to move through kind of a flow of standing poses. The first side that we do, we're going to focus more on the mechanics. And then the second side, we're going to play with some of the words of the poem of that interpretation of Avavat Olam. So we want to make sure you have a block nearby. Our left foot is going to be our first starting side. So bring your block to the left side of the top of your mat and step your left foot forward. And we'll come into warrior 2. So for all of these, I think there's 3 standing poses here in the beginning. The feet stay in the same place. So you want to line the front heel up with the back arch, turn the back leg in slightly, and make sure that the edge of your foot on the back foot is connected to the mat. So just if you need to, bend the front knee as much as you can, making sure that the knee is tracking over the ankle, but not past the ankle if possible. Draw the belly in. Think of scissoring those inner thighs toward each other, creating some activation in the inner thighs. And bring those arms out and just settling into your warrior 2 pose. Flip your hands up today for warrior 2. So we're going to have this external rotation in the shoulders, opening up the heart, and breathe. Feel the heat building in your legs. From here, we're going to reverse our warrior. Drop your back hand, keep your front knee bent, lift your front hand up to the sky, gaze up at your hand if that works for you, breathe. And keep the front knee bent. Reverse warrior. And then start to float through warrior 2 again and come into side angle. So the left arm comes inside the thigh, right arm comes up. So none of the feet haven't really moved, right? You can have the right arm up or over the head, creating a real diagonal angle here. Breathing into that side body, pressing your hips forward, side angle. So this is where the block comes in handy. So gaze down, you can bring your right hand to your hip, find your block. It's on the outer side of your front foot, and then straighten your front leg as much as you can. So if you need to keep a tiny bend, you can. The block is an extension of your arm, of your lower arm. We're coming into triangle pose. Both legs are straight, beautiful. Press the hips forward. See if you can gaze up at your hand. If it bothers your neck or for some reason you can't, it's okay. Just look straight ahead or down, whatever works for you. But find a mindful, something to gaze at mindfully. Breathe here in triangle. Good, you're gonna start to bend the front leg and come floating up out of this. Go ahead and walk your feet together. About hip width apart. Inhale, reach up. And then exhale, fold all the way forward. Your knees can bend as much as you want. Just let everything go. And just, if you're able to grab opposite elbows, start to hold onto your elbows. Let yourself sway from side to side. We are held by arms that find us even when we're hidden from ourselves. Good, breathing here. Let your head go. Good. And then start to come on up. And we'll take the second side. So go ahead and bring your block to the top of your mat. It's going to be on the outside of your right foot this time. And we'll step the right foot forward and get that lower body set up for these standing poses. So the toes point forward, knees over the ankle, back foot is turned in, back whole leg is turned in. Come into your warrior two with your palms facing up. Gazing over your right hand, we are helped by hands that uplift us. And reverse your warrior, even when we're in the midst of a fall. Breathe into reverse warrior. And then side angle. Right arm comes inside the front leg, reach the left arm up or at an angle. And then take your triangle pose. Use your block as you need to. Straighten the front leg. Gazing up at your hand if you're able to. We are urged on by eyes that meet us even when we're too weak to meet. Breathe here. Start to bend the front knee and start to float your arms up. Palms up. Toes point forward. Chest is open. Breathe here. We are held. We are touched. We are soothed. We are uplifted. We're going to keep those toes pointing forward and hinge at the hip crease and just come down halfway. So you're going to bring your block with you most likely. And squeeze the quads so that those hamstrings have room to release. So we're just halfway down. So from the side, it looks like tabletop back. You've got your block, or maybe you have more than one block. Let's keep the left hand on the block and bring the right hand to the right hip and start to do a little thoracic twist here, opening up to the right side and lifting the right arm. If your shoulder doesn't feel ready for that, it's totally fine. Just keep your hand on your hip and play with the twist. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. And switch sides. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smile. Come back to center. This time, let it all go. Fold all the way forward. Release. Bow deeply in reverence. Blessed are you, beloved one, who loves your people of the world. Release your jaw. And then press into your hands or into your block if you have that with you. And you can just start to heel toe your feet together until you can get your hands on your hips and rise up nice and slow. Good. We're going to come to a seated position. Have your blocks nearby. And we're going to come onto our backs and do a figure 4 stretch. If you're a pigeon pose practicer, lover of pigeon pose, you can take pigeon in place of this pose. Otherwise we're going to take the modified version. You can cross your right ankle over your left knee and draw the legs in toward you, holding onto the back of the left thigh. And just breathe here and just feel all there is to feel. You're going to switch sides. Notice how this hip feels compared to the other one. Release your jaw and the muscles of your face. With every exhale, just really settling into this shape and letting the length of time and the breath soften the muscles of the hips. And then go ahead and release the figure 4 and then take your strap. Usually we do this in the beginning of class. Today we're doing it toward the end just to release any tension from the standing poses. Go ahead and bring the strap around your right foot. And then either keep the left knee bent or you can extend it. And notice too, many of you have done this stretch with me for years. So notice, does it feel a little bit more open since we just did a lot of movement and heat building, or does it feel about the same? No right or wrong answers, just bringing attention to how this strap stretch feels. Flexing your foot. And I want you to think of shifting your right hip away from your lower rib. It's almost like your right butt cheek is going to try to move down toward the foot of your mat. As you do that, as you create a little more length in that right waist, you may feel a little more action in the hamstring and in the leg. You can hold both straps in your left hand and just start to cross the body until you get into the outer hip. And you can take the straps now in your right hand and keeping your belly engaged and pulled in, start to open the leg out to the side without letting that left hip pop up too much. Getting into the inner thigh. And back to center and switch sides. So just replace the right foot with the left foot and do what feels right with that right leg, bent or straight. Get those shoulders down away from your ears. Relax the upper body as much as you can. Flexing the foot and shifting the left hip away from the lower rib on the left side. Just getting a little extra space in the waist while keeping the foot flexed. Big deep breaths. Taking the straps in your right hand and letting the leg cross the body. Keep pressing the bottom of your foot into the strap and lengthening the leg. Engage your core and slowly bring the leg back through center and then open it out to the side. You can bend that knee a little bit if it helps you to bring the leg back up to center. Go ahead and release the strap. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock from side to side. Let's take an inversion of your choice. So the most common one that's popular in our classes is a supported legs up the wall, or legs up, but not up a wall, right? So you can take that, just shifting, lifting the hips up and getting the block under the hips and bringing the legs up. Or if you don't want to have your legs up today, you can just leave the block there, keep the knees bent, and have a nice supported bridge with the palms open. That's a lovely little gentle inversion. And if you would rather not use the block, you want to do something like a plow pose or a half shoulder stand, I'll do a half shoulder stand in case some of you wonder what that might look like. So I'm going to scoop my hands under my hips and scoop my elbows in toward each other. And in anything like this where there's a lot of weight on the back of your, toward the back of your head and neck, you don't want to look sideways, you want to look straight up so you don't put any pressure on your neck. And then the feet are right over the head or maybe even a little past the head. Some of you have done plow in my class before. That's just to bring the legs behind the head to touch the floor. I don't have a lot of room for that, so I'll stay with the half shoulder stand. So all of these inversions really do a similar thing of helping the circulation move back toward the heart, releasing any swelling or pressure in the legs and feet. Really good for the brain and the glands in the brain, like the pituitary, good for your thyroid. So basically really good for mood management, any of these inversions. Let's take 3 more breaths in whatever version that you have chosen today. And then slowly come out of it. And we'll take a final twist. So the knees are bent. You can shift the hips over to the right and then place them back down. And then let the knees fall to the left. Open up your arms and gaze over your right arm and shoulder. Let everything go. Just release your efforts. Breathe into that right rib cage. Lift just the top knee, followed by the bottom knee, and just shift those hips over to the left a few inches, and then let the knees fall down to the right, gazing over your left shoulder. Go ahead and come back to center, and any final stretches that you need so that you can release and relax in Shavasana. And when you set yourself up for Shavasana today, make it as loving as you can. Always make it as loving as you can. But today, especially, if there's anything extra that would make it really supportive, that would help you feel held, even more held. That could be blanket rolled up under your knees, or a blanket across the hips. So like the weight of a blanket is so lovely across the hips or chest. A little extra support under your neck, maybe a little rolled towel, or even just a pillow from your couch, something that makes it feel really loving and helps you feel even more held. Let's go for that, especially today. I'll give you a few minutes to set up. And when you hear the sound of the bell, it's your invitation to really begin to settle into stillness as much as you're able. Letting the sound of the bell draw your attention more inward to your body, to what you notice. Let go of all effort. We are loved by an unending love. We are blessed. We are loved. We are loved by an unending love. We are blessed. We are loved. We are held by arms that find us even when we're hidden from ourselves. We are touched by fingers that soothe us even when we're too proud to be soothed. We are counseled by voices that guide us even when we are too bitter to hear. We are helped by hands that uplift us even when in the midst of a fall. We are urged on by eyes that meet us even when we're too weak to meet. We are held. We are touched. We are soothed and uplifted. Ours are the arms, the fingers, the voices. Ours are the hands, the eyes, the smile. Blessed are you, beloved one, who loves your people of the world. We are loved by an unending love. 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 We are loved, loved, loved. We are loved, loved, loved. We are loved, loved, loved by an unending love. Ahavat verachamim chesed veshalom, love and mercy, loving kindness and peace, and peace, and peace. Know that wherever you are, whatever is going on in your life, in your surroundings, whatever noises there are, whether they're in your head, the chatter outside of you, whether they're blowers from gardeners, that there's always a place inside that has never been touched by this chaos or noise, that is pure peace, pure love. Allow your body to start to awaken and move your fingers and toes, and take your time finding your way up to a seated position. Perhaps coming back to that self-hug that we started with, just for a couple of breaths. Giving yourself that experience of being held, the self-love, self-compassion. And let us end our class with our loving kindness prayer. Bring your hands to your heart. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be free. May all beings have peace. May it be so. Ken Yehi Ratzon. Shalom.